Hi, everyone, and welcome to a Linfield Sports Network Coaches One-on-One with head men's basketball coach Shanan Rosenberg. I'm Joe Stuart, and a little bit different than the way we usually have our sit-downs, coach, but a lot of crazy things going on right now, but we definitely still want to get in touch with you, see how you're handling all this, see how the team's handling all this, and break down your awesome championship-winning season, because we never really got to celebrate that too much with the world going crazy right after you guys won the title.
That's right. Yeah, it's been what a strange, long, strange trip it's been, I suppose, in the words of Jerry Garcia. It was interesting. We haven't really had a chance to kind of do that as a team. We haven't really had a chance to do that, certainly kind of within the department or anything like that. But, all celebrations ultimately are short-lived. I think probably more than anything, we just miss the communing together and, enjoying the spring together.
Definitely, yeah. It's been so weird for everyone, students, coaches, professors, athletes. So hopefully things are able to return to normal by fall and we're able to get back to Linfield and back to all the great things that we get to have going on there. But let's talk about this last season. Just right off the bat, how would you summarize the run there for the 2019-2020 season?
Well, I mean, it was really a storybook season in many ways, and it's just incredible. Mostly because of the people we had in this particular group. There wasn't a day this entire year that I didn't feel great walking into the gym, being able to coach and lead and help and guide and serve our team and be around our guys and just be around them. That's what I miss more than anything right now is being around those guys. That was the most meaningful thing for me, is to be able to do something that is a shared achievement. The season was a shared achievement with people that I think are just incredible young men and terrific players. Individually it kind of had probably varying impacts, et cetera, but I always see things as a collective, and it was just a real joy and sense of satisfaction to do it with this group. But in a broader sense, in terms of what it means for our program, for me, that question goes right to all the other guys that have played here. I mean, this is about the Tyler Watts and Riley Brules and Jordan Clarks and Mason Rodbys and Kevin Hurley's and Eric Dahls and Parker Collins and all these other guys and I could go on and on of guys that Nagasi, Hart, and Marcus. I mean, the list goes on and on of guys that gave up, a lot of themselves to our program to allow us to be where we were. Yeah,
definitely. Going into the start of the year, looking back at October, November, when you were figuring out the team, figuring out what you had, looking around, did you think that this was a very real possibility to come away with a championship at the end of the year?
Yeah, no doubt. I thought, especially after last year, we had a real comeuppance, and I liked the way we were playing, and I liked the way it fit our personnel, and I think there was going to be a fair enough amount of continuity year to year. And I know the guys all worked really hard in the off season, and we're determined. I think, it was really telling for me is at the very end of in the locker room after our last loss of the year in the conference tournament in 19, in the winter of early in 19, there was the team, I think, collectively felt there was a feeling of unfinished business. I mean, there was a feeling of there's more we can do here. I mean, I think more than, maybe any other team I've had, there was a sense of that in the group. And I think it carried over into the summer and into the season. And everyone felt that sense of confidence that we had the people to be able to do this.
That's awesome. Were there any particular guys, I mean, we'll talk about the seniors in a little bit, but any particular guys that really stood out to you when you were looking around and being like, hey, we have the guys to do this. They feel like they have unfinished business. Who were the leaders in that mentality of we've got more places to go?
Well, it started with the guys that played a bunch the year before, obviously, which is Grant Gibb and Tanner Atencio and Austin Hilton, the three seniors, of course, but Dempsey Roebuck, who's a fierce competitor. And I know that was a big thing for him and his mindset. I mean, really the whole team, those guys, because they had so much playing time. Will Burkhardt as well. I think a lot of guys that had played a lot that year before and kind of, knew what it's like every year. If as you're growing a program like we have, back into a championship caliber program, you hit these kind of watershed periods or benchmarks. And I think these guys they were eager and had a sense, those guys in particular really had a sense of what it was going to take. They set out to do it, and they did it.
Well, it was really the team's offense that was the key to the success a lot of the time this season. You guys put up record-setting numbers. Felt like every game there were definitely ups and downs, but especially towards the end of the year there. Why do you think this team was able to come together and play at this level, at this pace, and just be able to execute the system so well?
Well, it starts with our players, Joe. I mean, we have great players that really fit what we're doing well. We have a myriad of shooters. We had a lot of guys that were eager to learn. It was the second year of running kind of the same stuff. And so we were further along in the learning curve in terms of, I think we were more efficient with the use of our time. And we got the best play out of a lot of people. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind, we got the best play out of Tanner, out of all of our seniors. We got the best play thus far out of our juniors. And Aaron Bonney took another huge step. Those guys primarily, and, excluding, Carson probably played the most out of our freshmen, but we had, I think those guys, they all really came along between seasons and then within the season to progress. And that was huge for us. I mean, kind of hitting potentials collectively is how you win championships.
Well, like I said, you guys were really moving along at the end of the season with the offense, but were there any points of adversity you felt for this team? Maybe not that you felt personally, but you noticed that your players were dealing with or anything like that? Anything that was a roadblock on the way to a title this season?
There always are, right? I mean, such is life. I think we had, between every team always hits a patch of illness, always hits a patch of I think sometimes injuries, possibly some academic issues. I mean, there's a variety of things predictably that you're going to run into, I think. But for us, if I had to look at a more generic, kind of timetable way, I would say for us, it was really right around Christmas time. I mean, we got lost 3 games in a row. One was an exhibition that I thought we took actually quite a bit of confidence and as good a feeling as you can away from a loss. But then, the St. John's and then the Louisiana game, I think was a big wake-up call. What I didn't realize at that time is we had a lot of kids that were really struggling in some areas away from the court. And I think, for different varying reasons, but there was definitely there was a block. There was something that was preventing us from moving into a better space as a team. And I think there was it was during that period where we all had this little bit of self-awareness that we knew if we didn't eliminate that, we couldn't progress. We couldn't move forward. So Austin Hilton decided that he was going to take a more assertive leadership role and change some of the actions that we were using in our preparation. And I think certainly Grant and Tanner were a part of that. I think there was a lot of people just coming to terms with sometimes it was some pain, sometimes it was some fears. Sometimes, a lot of it in my mind is just deciding that you want to be courageous enough to take on what lies ahead and, rid yourself of, I think, fears or things, distractions and things that can take away from you becoming your best self. And that's way easier said than done. Yeah. And I think that was kind of a piece where we were able to do that. And it started with those guys that were seniors. And there were other guys in the team that were kind of going through the same thing. And we're no different than many other teams in that regard. I think everybody has their various adversities throughout the year in one form or another. But that was a big period for us. And then, you could see what happened. I mean, we came out and I think we won 6 of our first 8 and then our last 8 in a row. So, I mean, to go 14-2 after that, I mean, and kept getting better and better and better and better and better along the way. And the only other case I could make that might come under the adversity piece was we got to that East Side trip, and we were just, I think that's always a tough trip, but against 2 exceptional teams. But there was I think in our first game up there, I mean, our kids put so much heart and soul on the line in that game. There were a lot of tears in the locker room afterwards. We felt like, our heart, we had played an exceptional game, and just it was a tough one. You recall that one there. And then we played a great half of basketball on the road the next night under, I think, pretty extraordinary conditions, especially considering the way Friday night's game ended. And then it was tough. And I think the best thing that really tells you about the thing that you really learn from your team is that we could have easily stumbled again after that.
Yeah.
And we didn't. We made a great choice to keep the faith and keep the progress, and that was huge for us.
No, that was definitely impressive. I mean, looking at those road Whitworth and Whitman games, you guys were totally socked in the jaw that weekend, and the way that the players got back up off the mat and rolled to the finish line was really, really impressive. A lot of guys had great individual seasons this year, statistically, or just as you said, in the way that they improved their games. But Dempsey Roebuck had the best of all of them, garnering first-team All-Northwest Conference honors, and then being the first Wildcat since 2012 to be named to the D3Hoops.com All-Region team. What has stood out to you about his development is he has just gotten better and more talented as a scorer, but in other parts of his game here over the last season.
Well, I was out for Dempsey this year. There's no doubt he was so much more complete. He was a better passer, a better playmaker, a better rebounder, better defender. He did a lot of things that he made the assist to the assist a lot of times, sure, which is the most important play that, doesn't go on the stat sheet, but without it, that assist never occurs. And he did a lot more things like that to impact the game. And I think he was really open to that and understood that that's what it was going to take for our team to be better, and also for him to just, have impact. He wants to win. Dempsey, first and foremost, he's a great teammate and a fierce competitor, and he's dedicated to, helping his teammates and our team become the best we can be. And I think I've been really proud of what he's done to become more complete in his game. And I don't think he's done. I think there's more room between now and next year for him I think he's that good. I think he's that capable. And we have a lot of other guys that way too that are on that growth curve. But, Dempsey's such an elite scorer and really gamer in some ways, that, he just does some exceptional things that you can't coach. But when he puts it together, I think, and as he's understood the importance of making everyone around him better, it's made him better as well.
You're graduating 4 seniors this year who have been massive parts of the program on and off the court. You've talked about them a lot, but just real quick, what have Tanner Antencio, Aiden Fizzackerly, Grant Gibb, and Austin Hilton meant to this program, and how have they helped usher it into now a championship contending era?
Tremendous. I mean, honestly, tremendous. I mean, I love those guys. Every one of them's given heart and soul to our program. No one of them is more or less important than the other. They may have played varying degrees or had different stats or different roles, et cetera. But in terms of their role and impact, all of them are like top shelf. Couldn't be any better. They unbelievable guys. The way they treat their teammates, and this is the way we want to have it in our program and aspire to have it in our program, is have the legacy of our seniors to pay forward. There's no condescension. There's no grouping. There's no clique. We don't have that stuff. I mean, we have our seniors were servants to our younger guys. They took the freshmen in and made them feel welcome and did a fabulous job of that all season. They were the models of how to handle that adversity. I think they weren't afraid to make themselves vulnerable to the group, which is a critical component, I think, to growth and also to paying forward a maturity and a wisdom of sorts to your younger players about what's possible when you open your heart up to something bigger than yourself.
Looking ahead, how do you and the returning players build on this season and make another run at another championship next year? How do you keep that same unfinished business mindset that they had this season?
Well, I think what you have is this is what you want in your program. We've got a bunch of young players. We've got a handful of guys that have now been there and understand what it is and how hard you have to work and how determined in your habits. I think we have a really healthy group of returners that all have a chance to contribute and play, and they really have a sense of how good you have to be to win at that level. So just the exposure and understanding what it can do for you. And it's not so much, it really isn't the winning, it's how you go about it. And so I think that there's a maturity, I think, and wisdom when you have a continuity in a program that gets paid forward and it builds itself. And I think that kind of momentum, it stays with you. And it's part of why you see so many teams that end up winning consistently at high levels. Yes, they're recruiting well and getting great players and those things, but there's also that kind of expectation and wisdom of winning gets paid forward through the generations of your program. And we've had excellent continuity and guys, a lot of talented guys upcoming in our program. And, and of course I talk to them every week. We're Zooming it once a week and doing things like that to try to stay in touch and, kind of also fuel the fire a little bit and stay excited.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time, Coach. I hope everybody in your house is staying safe. I hope all your players are staying safe and everybody's able to stay strong mentally here, and hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your quarantine and we're able to be back on campus next fall.
Likewise, I can't wait. Really miss seeing everybody around campus, and Linfield's so extraordinary in many ways, in particular in the spring, and all kids on campus, I think, have a little pep in their step and sparkle in their eye and eagerness about them. And I really miss that kind of vibrancy of campus, and we hope to reclaim that soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Be sure to keep checking in on the Linfield Athletics website and on all our social channels for more great content with and about our coaches, players, and awesome Linfield teams.